Hello, YouTube friends. Um, we all know I have bipolar disorder, and that comes with moods that are unpredictable. So, therefore, you look at my eyeballs, they're quite swollen from crying after having a wonderful day. Nothing upsetting, nothing bad going on, just a sudden depression. What I'm going through right now is called a mixed episode. While it might seem like that's really, really bad or maybe better than one or the other, it's the most confusing, most difficult thing to deal with. With mania, we know what we're dealing with. Although we also know about the things that are unpredictable, but maybe expected or possible. With depression, with major depressive disorder, which is basically the depression of a bipolar person. Depression is unpredictable too. So, anyways, I really am not sure if I completed that thought, but I'm gonna let myself go and forgive myself for that if I kind of messed up my train of thought. Because I've been really upset, crying, and you see my eyeballs. Ooh, hi. Trying to cheer up a little bit. I don't know why I'm upset. Really, there's a couple things I could guess at, but it wouldn't be accurate because it could be any one of those. And the reality is something like this, friends. There's depression in a person who is typical and doesn't have a mental illness. And then there's bipolar depression. They're almost two separate entities. A person with depression who is typical and doesn't have a mental illness can be treated with SSNRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which reuptake the serotonin and norepinephrine in your brain, which means keeps it active longer so that your state of contentment is kept level and at a level mood state. Which is why people with bipolar need to be on mood stabilizers, which we all are if we're doing what we need to be doing. I've been on many of them. So we don't get too manic or too depressed. Just a little of each, I guess. But I wanted to tell you the depression of a person with bipolar 1, for me, has been, and I have seen it to be, in others, friends that have bipolar as well, and borderline personality disorder. I have seen it to be completely different. And I'm right because as per my research, the bipolar brain's chemistry doesn't allow for the SSNRIs to work. Our lack in our brain, which causes the depression, the anxiety, the waves. Our brain is unstable in how it functions. It's up and wired and crazy and like on electrical shocks, doing its own little jig. But it's treated with stimulants usually. And the reason is because in my brain, unlike a person who doesn't have a mental illness, in my brain, I have a lack of dopamine and norepinephrine being active enough in my brain, being let out to play actively and be active during the day doesn't happen in my brain sometimes, actually most of the time, almost always. But my serotonin is okay. So an SSNRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which does serotonin and norepinephrine, wouldn't work for me. And the depression that a person with bipolar gets is so deep and so empty. You lose yourself in it. You don't know who you are. You're not acting the way you should act. You're not even acting anyway because you're sleeping constantly or staring at the wall because the TV is even just too much noise going on. You don't bathe for days or weeks or months. Some people I've known of. Brush your teeth, get dressed, eat, drink, go to the bathroom. Just those basic human things that we need to do, have to do for life, because life is motion. We can't do because we're experiencing basically what is a major depressive episode in a person with bipolar, where again, I lack norepinephrine and dopamine to be active in my brain during the day. It's reuptake, it's taken back too quickly. It's like from one side, let's say it's kind of like this. It's not really, but it is kind of like, there's this pathway in the middle of females' brains, and there you got your right and your left, which I know you see as opposite as me, and it's like, the serotonin, the norepinephrine, and the dopamine are let out through this passageway to the other side of the brain. And when they're active in the middle, when they stay in the middle and they don't leave or get reuptaked, they remain active. That limits depression, that limits inactivity, it limits anxiety, it limits insomnia, it limits hyposomnia. I don't know what that other word is, but that's kind of what it's like. And so for me, if I'm not taking a stimulant medication, my norepinephrine and my dopamine go from this side of the brain into the tube And then they say, oh, we're done already, we'll go over here. Even though I haven't had a chance to get out of bed yet or do anything successful for the day or anything. But my serotonin that came from the brain over here is still active, which a typical person without a mental illness, that selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, stopping the serotonin from getting reuptaked over here on this side, stays in the middle and active, works for them generally. And actually generally kind of fixes the problem, helps the body to naturally do that over time, over the course of maybe 6 months of treatment or something like that. But here's the good thing about, I always try to look at the positive in some way in every situation. I always say that God gives us something positive, a lesson, a chore, a book to read, inspiration for something. He gives us the right thing at the right time. Like right now, I've been wanting to make YouTube videos for a couple years. And over the past year, I've really thought about honing down on what I was going to discuss and how it was going to be. And I've discovered that it's really just going to be a whole bunch of jumble, because I'm a whole bunch of jumble, because I've got OCD really bad. And then you put OCD with mania and ADHD, and holy party. No, it's a circus. It's a damn circus when that happens. But in God's time, I feel more comfortable with talking now, and I feel just more, I feel like it's the right time. Like God's patting me on the back and saying, you're doing the right thing, Dolly. It's the right time. For whatever reason. Don't need to know, but that's just how I feel. That's how it seems. When a person with bipolar or other mental illnesses too have this bipolar depression, it is so hard for us to not sleep constantly. We sleep and sleep and sleep. When I told my psychiatrist, he asked me how many hours have I been sleeping one of the last times that I was going through a depressive episode. And I would tell him 22 hours, roughly. It's a really good estimate. And he would be in shock. His name is Mike. And he's a great, I'm really lucky. Blessed, I should say. I am blessed. So when I would go through these depressive episodes, I left. I leave. The mental illness is what becomes of me. And I am rolling away the tires and bouncing on the ground until I am no longer. When I'm in bipolar depression, I need sleep. And I need sleep because of something that's really interesting about our natural human sleep cycles. It has been studied by many studiers of mental health and just people, I guess, and brains and behavior. That typically in a roughly 8-hour sleeping session, typical night of sleep, we go through these REM cycles, and then We've gone through so many when we've been sleeping that we feel rested when we get up. But that's if they're uninterrupted. And what happens with my bipolar is I will sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep. And I wake up and it is if I've had no sleep for days and have been pushing myself all the hell. It makes no sense. My body's at rest, my mind's at rest as far as my conscious mind is. But my subconscious mind is so busy. And because of that, my REM cycles are constantly interrupted. So, having your REM cycles interrupted equals lack of sleep. That time that would have been sleep time isn't sleep time anymore. It doesn't count as anything but sitting there or laying there in our brains and in our bodies. So sleeping 22 hours, my body needs it. Needs it. It's not, oh, I feel lazy, I just want to lay around. I'm not like that at all. I just want to constantly be doing stuff. I can't stand to not be doing things. I can't even stand to sleep sometimes because I think about how I could be doing this or that or the other thing, and why am I wasting my time sleeping? That's it happens sometimes. But the sleep cycles being interrupted and having them interrupted 8, 9, 10, 11 times in a 22-hour sleep session, then I feel kind of rested and I could be up for about 2 hours. Literally. And you're probably wondering, well, didn't you have to get up to pee or something during this time when you would sleep during your depressive episodes? And yes, I did. But I'd be a zombie. I would just get up, pee, and go back to bed. Like, I don't even remember doing it. Just no effort, no energy, no thought. I was just as zombie. It was like my subconscious was becoming a ghost and doing it on its own. It had nothing to do with me. But that's not, I wasn't awake. There was no being awake. Yes, I went to the bathroom. Yes, I peed. And I wiped. TMI, I know. It just is crazy because your body then feels so tired. You're so tired, but you've had so much sleep. But you're so tired because when you've slept, you haven't really been sleeping. Your brain hasn't gone through the regular REM cycles. It's been interrupted every time it tried to stop and take a break or have a dream or anything it wanted to do on its own. So that's why people with bipolar, major depressive disorder, and are in a major depressive episode need physically their bodies and their minds need the rest, the sleep, the warmth of a blanket to comfort us, because we don't feel good in this state. It's not fun. It's not, oh, I got a really great nap in. No, you wake up from those 22 hours of nothing but sleep and you're still so damn tired. You hope you can stay up just long enough to get maybe a piece of toast in your stomach and take your medications. Because your sleep has not been sleep. You've been awake, basically. It's almost like, actually, I just had a little bit of a realization. So that, saying that, sort of means that major depressive episodes are like manic episodes. It's about the mind not slowing down. And I actually was diagnosed with anxiety and depression way before any bipolar, just when I was 19 and had to move out of my house quickly because my sister was being a little wacky, but that's okay. She was awesome. And we all have our wacky times. Like right now when I just did whatever I did. But and then I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I've since learned that a lot of people who end up getting a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, sorry about that, I don't want to do anything goofy, start off with a diagnosis of depression and anxiety, or one or the other. That was me. And that's okay. God's grace, the grace of God, His amazing grace, is why I'm okay with all of this. Because human suffering is simply a part of life. And everyone will suffer for one reason or another, and in one way or another. Everyone. And I know what cross I have to bear. I'm glad that I know, because I'm informed. I can educate myself. I can work on things that need to be worked on. I can help others. I can be there for people who are struggling like I used to. I still do, of course, but I've come a long way. So, I think that's kind of all I wanted to say today. Happy April 23rd, I believe. Yes, April 23rd. And I hope you have a great night. And I am sorry that my hair is messy and my eyes are how they are, but my channel's not about sugarcoating things or materialism or being fake. My channel's about authenticity and honesty. I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Bye.